They thought Biscuit had just claimed a favorite spot. He'd claimed a safe one. When newborn Ines Whitfield Amaro came home, her parents set up her cushioned bassinet in the corner of the living room nearest the front window, reasoning it caught the best afternoon light for photos. Biscuit, their 8-year-old yellow Labrador, had other plans. Within a day, he'd repositioned himself permanently at that exact spot instead, lying pressed against the bassinet's edge, refusing to move even when Odell, Ines's father, tried to shift the whole setup 6 feet over, closer to the fireplace where he thought the room looked better balanced. "He's just decided this is his new bed," Odell's wife Cassidy said, laughing it off. "Dogs get attached to a spot. It's not that deep." Cassidy had grown up with dogs her whole life and felt confident reading Biscuit's behavior through that lens. A comfortable, familiar dog simply staking a claim near the newest member of the household. Nothing more complicated than affection and proximity. When Odell tried to move the bassinet a second time, Biscuit followed it across the room and lay down in the exact same relative position. Nose angled toward the same corner Ines's head faced, refusing every attempt to redirect him elsewhere. "That's not just liking a spot," Odell said. "That's specific. He wants her facing that way." Cassidy dismissed it mostly because the alternative, that there was a reason behind it she couldn't see, felt like more than she wanted to consider 3 weeks postpartum running on broken sleep and instinct alone. Easier to believe a dog had simply picked a favorite napping angle than to wonder what he might actually be responding to. 4 days later, they moved the bassinet a third time, this time to accommodate a visiting relative's suitcase near the window. Biscuit didn't just follow. He became agitated in a way Cassidy had never seen from him. Pacing between the new location and the original corner, whining low in his throat, refusing food, refusing to settle anywhere else in the house. "Something's wrong with him," Odell said that night, watching Biscuit pace for the 4th hour straight. "This isn't comfort-seeking anymore." It was Cassidy's mother, visiting for the week, who finally asked the question none of them had thought to ask. What's actually in that corner? Not the spot he wants. The wall behind it. They checked. Behind the drywall in that exact corner ran the return duct for the home's older gas furnace, original to the house, installed decades before either of them had bought it. A home inspector, called out the next morning at Cassidy's insistence, found a small but active crack in the duct seal, venting trace combustion byproducts directly into that corner of the living room every time the furnace cycled on. "It's not a large leak," the inspector said, testing the levels with a handheld meter that beeped steadily higher the closer he got to that specific corner. "But it's consistent, and consistent low-level exposure in an infant is a real concern, especially somewhere they're sleeping for hours at a stretch. You want them as far from this wall as possible until it's repaired." Cassidy stood in the doorway and let the last 3 weeks rearrange themselves. Biscuit's refusal to leave that first corner. Not comfort, but a dog positioning himself as close as possible to a threat he could sense but couldn't remove himself. The agitation when they moved the bassinet the third time away from the crack entirely. Not distress at change, but relief so acute it had looked, from the outside, like panic. He'd been trying, in the only way available to him, to keep himself between Ines and something venting quietly into the one corner they'd chosen without knowing any better. They had the duct repaired within 2 days, and moved the bassinet to the opposite side of the room permanently. Biscuit settled beside it that first night, without pacing, without agitation, just a long exhale, and a stillness Cassidy hadn't realized she'd been missing until it returned. She sits with him there most evenings now, one hand resting on his back while Ines sleeps, finally understanding that the spot he'd fought so hard to claim had never been about comfort at all.